Happy Monday. Hey, Miller, miss you. Can't wait to hide out on your land. Eventually, it's going to be great. Okay, let me get us live on YouTube, Twitch, and X, which I thought I was live on Twitch. Give me 1 second to make sure we're refresh. Okay, we're live on Twitch and X. Let me figure out what's going on with YouTube, and then we'll get this show started. Hey Leah, hey Steph, happy Monday. Thank you so much for the gift, Miller. You're amazing. Let me make sure I have this pinned really quick before I get this started. Okay. It is I have some good. I've decided I thought about it a lot and I was like, I have some good clips, like not just I'm like, oh, this is be a good show that it's super depressing. I'm not to say there's not a lot of depressing things going on, but man, I saw some very inspiring things this morning when I was making the outline for this show. And I was like, oh, thank God. You know what? You just feel so drained. You can't take it anymore. And then you hear people speaking and saying things that just gives you like renewed hope and like humanity. Hey, Dolphin. Yesterday was Ukraine's Independence Day. I know, ironic, right? And that's I can't. The lies of, and I just want to say, I'll say this because I'm not going to show these clips. I don't think it's helpful for me to show. If I had started, I have them all. I now have 4 interviews full of JD Vance lying specifically about Russia. You know, like basically giving Andrew Jacksons with both hands to Putin while lying with his mouth full time. I'm so torn if it's a good idea to play a bunch of lies. It's the same reason I stopped playing Trumps of Clips or Trumps of Clips. That's the ADHD clips of Trump pathologically lying over and over. Cause as someone that used to work in advertising, I started really questioning if I'm part of the problem when I'm doing that. Like, I don't want to spread Trump's lies any farther. So I'm trying to find other ways. And I think we have beaten that dead horse. You know, everybody, if you don't know Trump's a liar and by now your brain doesn't work. And you're not necessarily dumb. You can also be in a cult. You could be in cognitive dissonance, right? Because we know neurologically people who are in cults, i.e., the medical terminology would be cognitive dissonance. Like they literally cannot take in information contrary to the lies being told by their cult leader. Like it's near impossible. Oh, I can't remember her name, but that amazing woman, she oh my God, I'm probably going to get it wrong. Does she knit or crochet while she's doing lives? And she was like a captain in the US Army. It's like, and Fax interviews her all the time. And she's written like 2 books and she has like a PhD. One of the most brilliant people I've ever heard speak. You know, she always say, hey, the knitting cult lady. Yeah. I'm like, she knits. That should have probably cued something for me when I'm like, she knits. Yes. She says, if there was an easy answer on how you got people out of cognitive dissonance or out of a cult, like she'd be a billionaire. She would be packaging it and selling it. So I don't think everyone's just straight up dumb. I think some people are in cognitive dissonance and in a cult, and some people are bigots. Some people have a combination of all 3, right? Some people are financially profiting off of the MAGA cottage industry. There's all sorts of reasons that people have decided to turn their spines in and get on their knees for Donald Trump. But what I want to go through first, because, when people announce these like tours or rallies, I'm like, okay, like that's great. And I hope they're good, but I never know like how exciting they're going to be or if they can hold our attention. So these rallies that are being covered by Midas Touch, they are sponsored by like the ground Move On. They do like community organizing and things like that, like actually on the ground. And now it's like a Bob Dylan song. Won't back down. Yeah, because I was saying never back down. I think it's won't back down because I, I was like, it's not never back down. It's won't back down. So if you want to look up, this is going to be a national tour and there's different like legs of this tour. So depending where you are, there's different people speaking in different cities. Yes, Tom Petty. Thank you.
That paper is more sophisticated.
Tom Petty. What the?
Computers.
Forgive me. Forgive me. It's the ADHD. I keep switching ADHD medication. But I was clipping. I was like, let me just watch this rally and see how inspiring it is. Oh my gosh. So Maxwell Frost and Elizabeth Warren were doing one of these rallies on Saturday, and it was amazing. So I just want to play. We're not going to like watch the whole thing, but I clipped the good stuff, and I want to play some of it because I think on Mondays, particularly, it can feel a little hopeless, especially when weird orange grandpa is doing like full court press. While what is going on with his hands? Trump's hands are. It must be all the Andrew Jacksons he's giving Putin. We'll get into his hands later. But let me show you. This made me smile so much when I was watching these clips. Yeah. J.D. Vance knows how World War II ended. He's just a pathological liar. Like, J.D. Vance is an example of a very intelligent, like I say, like, hey, not everyone's dumb. Some people are in cognitive dissonance, but some people are financially benefiting off the MAGA cottage industry. Oh yeah, J.D. Vance is not dumb. J.D. Vance is not in cognitive dissonance. He is actually a pathological liar. He's owned by Peter Thiel, and he's financially backed by him. Every campaign he's ever been won has been funded by Peter Thiel. And then outside of Peter Thiel, he's a religious evangelical extremist. Like, his other backing comes from the Heritage Foundation. J.D. Vance is lying on purpose. Like, he is actually a pathological liar, just to be clear. So yeah, when I say not everyone's dumb, I do think there are some confused people in cognitive dissonance when it comes to Trump. I don't think there's an excuse for it any longer. Like, if you're in, whether you're in cognitive dissonance or you're an idiot, whatever it is, there's no longer an excuse to not educate yourself and figure out who's lying and robbing you. I think it's all of our duties as American citizens. But again, this is Maxwell Frost, Elizabeth Warren on Saturday at a Won't Back Down rally, which there will be more of these if you're interested. I believe they're specifically going to like Republican cities or places like that, where towns that are Republican districts, things of that nature. So if you're a blue dot in a red place, look up the schedule. They may be coming to a town near you. I think it is, it's literally like won'tbackdowntour.com, by the way, if you want to look it up.
You know, a few months ago, our governor, you might have heard of him, Ron DeSantis. The guy who eats the yogurt with his fingers. He announced that he was going to build essentially an internment camp in the middle of the Everglades for immigrants.
Is more sophisticated now.
He called this place so-called Alligator Alcatraz. And so about a month and a half ago, I became one of the first politicians to go in and use my power of oversight to look at what the hell is going on in there. But I didn't go there to go on a field trip. I went in there to see what was going on, to tell the public, but not just tell the public, but to tell our partners, the Friends of the Everglades, the Miccosukee Tribe, and the Center for Biological Diversity, that engaged in a lawsuit to close the place down. And we just heard about 24 hours ago that the judge has ruled that Alligator Alcatraz has to shut down. They can't send another immigrant to that place. And I bring this up because we're in this moment. I know a lot of us feel defeated. I know a lot of us feel like we don't have power, but we do have power. We do have power. And politicians, look, I used to say this on the front lines of the Black Lives Matter protests. When you don't have all the power you want, you damn well use all the power you got. And we know we don't have every lever we want. But we know that as members of Congress, we can go inside these places and not just shine a light on what's going on, but work with partners to sue the hell out of them and get these places closed down. And a few months ago,
saw people saying he's not saying the United States citizens don't have power. He's saying in Congress, because they don't hold the majority in the Senate, they don't hold the majority in the House, they don't hold the executive branch, there's a conservative majority on the Supreme Court. That's what he means. But he's saying, hey, I have the power of congressional oversight. I can show up to any ICE facility in my district and legally do oversight anytime I want, which he's gone back 2 or 3 times, right? I mean, that's what I'd be doing. If you're a congressperson who's constantly getting reports that people are being tortured inside of non-certified ICE facilities so that billionaires can get rich, so that other Congress people can do some insider trading and take huge positions in Geo Group and Core Civic, which I always point out, if you want to find out who's profiting off of us creating concentration camps, go to opensecrets.org and look at who has accepted the majority of donations from Geo Group and Core Civic. I'll give you a hint. It's conservatives. Not to say there are no Democrats that have taken money from those people, because there are, but the vast majority, I think it's like 70% of that money went to the executive branch, to Donald Trump, and then to Republican Congress people. And that's why they pass these bills. That is why, what are the 2 largest law enforcement agencies? Now, stay with me, conservatives. This is how you guys are either dumb or giant hypocrites, right? You are supposed to be draining the swamp. You're not supposed to be growing the size of the federal government and illegally profiting off of concentration camps. But ICE is now the largest law enforcement group in the country, and second is what? The Bureau of Prisons, because this is a grift. And what we know, for-profit prisons, we had 25% of the world's prisoners. Well, before Bukele decided to disappear half his country. But literally, we have over 25% of the world's prisoners. And when did that happen? When we created for-profit prisons. And if you don't believe me, you can look this up. It was Biden that tried to do away with for-profit federal prisons. And the minute Trump got back in office, he's taking all of our tax dollars and fighting a problem that doesn't exist. We know there is no immigrant crime problem. There's no statistical correlation between immigration and crime. We have a bigger problem with white male American citizens committing violent crime in this country than we do with immigrants committing crime. But for some reason, we're funneling all this money into a problem that doesn't exist so that corporations, billionaires, and politicians can privately profit off of it. It is unconscionable. Please do follow me. Again, this is the People's Receipts. I used to do a lot of things. I used to be a teacher. I was a history major. I was a historical researcher for my professors, which is what a lot of history majors do. And I'm using primary and secondary resources essentially to debunk all of Trump's lies, which it is definitely a full-time job. So if you're new here, please follow me. This is my Cash App and Venmo. This is my job. My ability to do this just relies on tips and donations. If you would like to subscribe, that is that yellow star in the left-hand corner, which normally I used to be like almost at 600 subscriptions, but they've dwindled off. So if you would like to help me, this is the sub goal. That is, you can buy subscriptions for others for a month or whatever. Help me meet my sub goal. And then also, let's tap the screen We're at 25K. Let's keep tapping. Let's get to 100K. Tapping the screen is free. If you would like to support me, tap, tap, tap. Let's get to 100K as fast as possible and share the live, because I have some really good clips today, especially these. I almost didn't want to start with them because I was like, I want to make sure as many people are in here as possible, because this rally on Saturday, this was in Omaha, by the way. If you're like, where is it? I believe this one was in Omaha. The Won't Back Down tour is specifically going to like red cities, I believe, in red states. And you can see in this corner, sorry, my iPad. Need a counterweight. Won'tbackdowntour.com. You see there on the bottom, if you want to look up the schedule and see if they're going to come to a neighborhood near you, that is how you look up the schedule. And there's different teams, like this is Elizabeth Warren and Maxwell Frost. I know Chris Murphy's doing it with someone else. There's all, I think, different groups going to different places.
And I'm so proud to be here at the Won't Back Down tour, because now we have our eyes fixed on 2026, the midterms. And let me tell you something you already know. Donald Trump knows if the election were held today, they would lose. Donald Trump knows that when the election is held in November next year, they will lose. That's why he came out and he said blatantly, Texas, I want you to redraw your lines to get me 4 to 5 new seats. That's why he's telling other states that are run by Republicans, we need you to redistrict so we can get more seats. Because he knows they can't win, so he wants to cheat. The same thing he's done his entire life. But I'll tell you, something else I feel really good about is what California's doing. They're saying, we're not going to let you do this without a fight. And even when, think about this, even when Democrats, when we have to do something we're not necessarily fully proud of, but we know we have to do to protect democracy, even then we do it differently, because California is putting it on the ballot to put it to the people. And that will make the victory even more sweeter when that ballot proposal passes in November.
God, the grammar teacher in me can't stand double comparatives. It's sweeter or more. I mean, you know. Okay, this is what I want to talk about. I showed some of this on Friday, and it was enraging me. So on Fox News, they are doing what they usually do, which is lie to a group of idiots who are the people that watch. If you watch Fox News, let me put it this way. If you watch Fox News and you think that they are telling you the truth, which my father is one. People know I live with my father. Like, I take care of him. He's kind of sick. Well, we take care of each other in a lot of ways. But I love him very much. But that man is down the far right rabbit hole. I mean, he watches YouTube and just the algorithm just plays him like Fox News clips like all day long. And I'm like, we stopped talking about this stuff because some of our arguments have become, they get very, I'm not going to say violent. So I just have to leave him alone about that because I'm worried about his health. But if you're a person who watches Fox News and you're like, nailed it, then you're an idiot. Because none of that stuff is true. And my dad doesn't. My dad has a flip phone. That's why I keep telling. This is one of the things I tell myself. My dad also couldn't use a computer to save his life. But if you have a supercomputer and you are like, Fox News is nailing it, or you listen to Donald Trump speak and you're like, nailed it, that must be true. The only explanation at this point is that you are an idiot. Truly. If you have a supercomputer, and let me just tell you how to do it because I love cloud-based query. Just write fact check : into your browser, copy and paste whatever claim Trump made, and it will correct it. If you stop showing up on the internet trying to debate people. There was a very embarrassing gentleman on Friday that tried to come up here yelling Pocahontas because a law professor / economics economist Elizabeth Warren was speaking, and the only thing he knows, not that Elizabeth Warren has never said an untrue thing in her life. She's passed the bar. She's absolutely brilliant. She's basically an economist. She tells the truth at every turn. The only thing that idiots that follow Donald Trump know about her is that Trump made a racial slur about her. I mean, that's it. If you are that dumb, if you stop at Russia, 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 if you stop at Pocahontas, if you stop at, and the reason I'm going somewhere with this, you heard him say, I feel good about California. The idiotic narrative on Fox News is that Democrats have been gerrymandering for years. Let me help you. That is not true, and you have a supercomputer to find out that that's not true. It is the Democratic Party, it is Democrats in Congress who have voted along party lines, and I think there might have been one or two Republicans. I don't want to say it was completely on party lines. I think there were a couple stray Republicans, but it is the Democrats that have brought bills in the House and voted yes on them in the Senate to do what? To stop nationwide gerrymandering, because we will benefit from that. If Republicans stop cheating, stop suppressing the vote, stop gerrymandering within an inch of their lives, the Democrats benefit. I want every person to vote for whoever they want. But if you're an American citizen, I want you to be able to vote, right? It is Republicans that have a history of gerrymandering. Let me say that differently. Conservatives have a history of gerrymandering that goes back to what? Reconstruction and Jim Crow laws in the South. That is where this all started. Conservatives in the South stopping Black people from voting. It is Democrats that continue to introduce bills and attempt to introduce bills to end gerrymandering. And when you say dumb things, because I had to stop debating because MAGA men are not smart. They have no idea what they're talking about. And they'll be like, have you never gerrymandered? Have you never gerrymandered everything? Let me help you with the line of logic you're on. If you're saying, well, what about the Democrats? We are the ones that are saying, let's all agree to never gerrymander again. Let's have independent commissions draw fair maps in every state. No one will ever be able to gerrymander again. It is Republicans that vote that down. And if your argument is, but what about the Democrats? Have they ever gerrymandered? You are saying, hey, we want you to bend over and take it as we cheat. We want to disenfranchise brown and Black people. We want to disenfranchise women. We want to stop as many people as we can from voting. And if you do anything to fight back and make things fair, then I'm going to get mad. Like, what are you talking about? You guys, conservative males, you guys bend over, and not even for a smart person. You guys bend over for a guy who has a full face of makeup on that looks terrible, who is so dumb. He literally can't form a sentence. I have a couple of clips to show you today of what your fearless leader is up to. Literally could not find his way out of a paper bag. And you're talking to us about fairness? You guys are delusional. And I see that there's someone in the comments. This is not the place for you. If you are dumb. Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. Clayton Bigsby, which is, I feel like if you're a white man, that's might be racist. Are you one of them panhandling hosts? There's a group of y'all. If by panhandling host you mean someone overqualified to be doing what I'm doing and engaging in free market capitalism, which is your dream, not mine, then yes. And you are too dumb to know that I am existing in your idea of an economy. Even though you're an idiot who's being robbed and can't do math, I'm just doing what you told me to do, which is I'm here. I used to be a real teacher, right? And I'm just on the internet saying, hey, I'm going to teach you some stuff using primary and secondary resources. You decide what that's worth to you. This is Cash App and Venmo. You can subscribe. You can give me gifts. This is literal free market capitalism. This is your dream. And then you're saying that we're grifters. Let me help you with what a grifter is. There is a grifter in the White House who's selling gold tennies you can buy on Temu for $2 for $1,000. There's a grifter in the White House who, you guys are too dumb to do math, so you don't understand the last bill was the largest transfer of wealth to the top of the economy in history. There's a grifter in the White House who's bought $100+ billion of bonds. So every bill, and he's invalidated the legislative branch and controls how every Republican votes. So whatever legislation he passes, he is financially profiting off of.
The paper is more sophisticated now than
You can't, all you're telling me when you sit in the comments and say dumb things like, I'm a grifter, just raise your hand and say, I'm an idiot. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm an insecure white male with a small d, following another insecure orange male with an even smaller d. And I just wander around on the internet yelling idiot things. Figure out who has your money. Let me help you. It's not me. It's not brown and black people. Donald Trump has your money. Maybe you should go ask for it back. But you won't, because you're an idiot. Period.
And I'm so proud to be here at the Won't Back Down tour, because now we have our eyes.
I played that. I think I played that clip. Oh, yes, this is good.
The fact of the matter is, Donald Trump traveled this nation and lied to everyone. Told people the reason you can't pay your rent is because of that trans kid. The reason that you can't afford your health care.
This is for you, the idiot MAGA men in the comments. This is for you. Donald Trump said brown people have your money and you're dumb enough to believe it. You are an idiot. This is for you.
The fact of the matter is, Donald Trump traveled this nation and lied to everyone. Told people the reason you can't pay your rent is because of that trans kid. The reason that you can't afford your health care, or the reason you're one hospital visit away from being on the streets, is because of that immigrant. But we have to tell the truth. See, these billionaires want us to look at each other. They want us to look at each other and blame our neighbors instead of looking up and blaming them. Instead of looking up and blaming them. That no, it's not. You not being able to pay your rent doesn't have to do with trans people, but it has to do with private equity and billionaires that have bought up all the homes and apartments and have got the rent up too damn high. That the reason you can't afford your health care is because we have a broken health care system in this country. That isn't even a health care system, it's a sickness care system that makes money off when we get sick. And we're not interested in these solutions that are going to fix some things for some people if you fall in this bracket at this time. But we have to be for big solutions that say healthcare is a human right. Everybody in this country deserves to be healthy. That in the richest country on the face of the earth, no one should sleep on the streets. Everybody should have a roof over their head. And that this message, even though we're going to beat congressional Republicans and take the House back, when it comes down to the people, this message isn't about D versus R. This message is about the people versus the problem. The people versus the problem. The fact of the matter is, Donald Trump...
And I'm sorry, if anyone's wondering where Clayton Bigsby, that shit is racist. Like, I was looking at that person's profile. That's a white person cosplaying. Like, that shit's racist, so they got blocked. And I just want to clarify, again, this is not time for people in the comments to be uneducated idiots. This is where people whose brains do work gather together, use math and primary and secondary resources to talk about how dumb you are and what we're going to do about it. So if you continue to say uneducated things and distract people and waste time, I will block you as well. Like, nobody is immune to being blocked or silenced for the entire live. Like, at what time when I block someone, my favorite thing is this guy showed up on Pickles Lives and started screaming that I had violated his First Amendment rights. And And that's how dumb MAGA is. I used to think that they all knew something about the Constitution. If you think that me silencing you while I've tried to educate people violates your First Amendment rights, that's just another example of how dumb you are. The examples are endless. I spend the rest of my life pointing out how dumb MAGA men are and how insecure. Thank you, Ruckus, for the info you provide is so valuable. Thank you for the $10 on Cash App. I appreciate it so, so much. Again, your tips and donations mean the world to me, and it allows me to do this. I can't remember who I saw. I think it was another insecure MAGA man said I'm wasting my teaching degree. No, the dumbest people in this country, and I mean this because I was a second grade teacher, the dumbest people in this country are adults. The most uneducated people, cross-section of people of the voter base, are MAGA men. Truly. So no, this is actually, and it's a long story, but I have ADHD and all sorts of things going, I'm very neurodivergent. So what I'm doing here is, like I used to say, I want to educate and teach people about things on the internet in a way that I think it's easier to learn. And this is, I think, the best way to learn. So that's what I'm doing. Wait, hold on. So I saw someone write that someone's threatening someone in the comments. Hold on. I'm just going to block. We're not having threats. So just let me scroll back up. Yeah, real talk. I get it now. That's right. Real talk's making threats against people in the comments. I've never, listen, I'm not a cop caller. I don't report anyone, so I won't. But that is a very strange threat to make on the internet. You do you. You do you, weirdo. Okay, moving along. And I will update the gift goal. Thank you.
And when I was about 12.
Where are all these people? Hold on a second. Let me just... General Shields, I have requested you to come up here and explain what you mean. I used to debate all the time. It's just all of you are too dumb for me to waste my time on. But if you want to make a cogent argument of what you're saying, Democrats are too dumb to govern their own affairs. That's a very strange claim of which you set yourself up for failure in that debate, but I'll take it. It's so weird that you're not up here, General Shields. That's so strange. MAGA men are tiny little cowards. You invite them up and they don't show up. Anyways, sorry, I blocked him too. I'm not doing this today. I have too many intelligent people that have things to say that I need to show you guys to deal with it.
And when I was about 12, my daddy had a heart attack, and it nearly wiped us out. The bills piled up, we lost the car, and we came about that close to losing our home. And I remember the day that I walked into my parents' bedroom, and my mother, her face was red and puffy, and she was walking back and forth, and she was saying, "We will not lose this house. We will not lose this house. We will not lose this house." She was terrified. And I was 12 years old looking at her, and I was terrified. And my mother did what a lot of mamas had done. She pulled on her best dress, she put on her high heel shoes, she walked to the Sears, and she got a minimum wage job answering phones. And that minimum wage job saved our house, and it saved our family. My mother, my brothers, they taught me about courage, and they taught me about people who fight for what they believe in. They taught me about people who fight for their families, who fight for their neighbors, who fight for their communities, who fight for their country. I am proud of that America. America, and I use my voice as best I can to fight for that America. Because that is not the America that Donald Trump wants to build. Donald Trump's America is an America where every day, billionaires get richer. Every day, you, good families, hardworking families, are asked to give up just a little more so that billionaires can buy another island, can buy another yacht. Well, I am here with my friend Maxwell Frost to say I believe in an America that works for all of us, and we will not back down. And
I love it. And I wanted to say, and like, there's an article in Fortune, which I don't know if anyone's into finance like I am. I love the stock market and watching the way numbers move. And that is absolutely right. The transfers of wealth in this country, I think the most egregious example was the big, beautiful bill. If you're in here defending Trump, you should understand he robbed you. Republicans robbed you. Billionaires robbed you. Corporations robbed you. And now they're continuing to rob you, which I'll get into later. But one of the scariest articles I've ever seen came out like last Thursday in Fortune. It's called "The Nation's Finances Have Deteriorated," which, I mean, deteriorated is a nice word, since Trump took office. CRFB says is gaming out scenarios up to a 28.5 trillion deficit. And remember when we were trying to stop the big but beautiful bill from being passed? Not just because people were going to lose their health care. Another big problem was we were going to have to borrow like $5 trillion immediately. And in order to pass it, they just changed the baseline math that they use. Lindsey Graham made up new math. Remember I talked about this in detail about how wrong it was that they were saying billions of dollars was actually worth $0. That is what they say. If you do the real math, if you calculate how much Trump is spending over the next 10 years, the deficit could be up to 28.5 trillion. That's the reality. If you use real math, not fake conservative math to cover up that they were robbing all of us. And even in their math, they're borrowing $5 trillion, which that affects us, right? That affects our auto loans, our mortgages, everything immediately. I could go on. And then, Trump saying he collected trillions in tariff revenue. That's an absolute lie. It's around like 200 billion. Which, if I know, I've realized MAGA men don't understand numbers. That's like change you find in your couch compared to the money the loan you're going to have to take out to support all the bullshit Trump is doing. The deficit has been blown out. Everything you accuse Democrats of,
paper is more sophisticated,
conservatives are guilty of. Period. That's it. Since in the modern era, since Clinton, we have paid down Clinton, they balanced the budget. After that, Republicans have blown out the deficit and we have paid it down every single time, including in Trump's first term, blew out the deficit, the third most in modern presidential history. And Joe Biden did what? During COVID, paid down the deficit. If you don't believe me, which I know you guys don't, because you can't do math and you can't read. So how would you know that? But you can look it up. And just know, Elizabeth Warren is smarter than you, insecure MAGA men, and so am I.
so I want to remind you all, put you back a year ago. Right now. And you may remember, we're in the middle of this presidential, and Donald Trump is out there making promises. Remember those promises? He said, with a single phone call, he would end the war in Ukraine. Yeah. He said, only he would end the war in Gaza. Just like that. Remember that?
Trump must be really terrible at blowing Putin because he's been doing it for 8 months. I just want to clarify. Trump has been on his knees for Putin for 8 months, and the war in Ukraine has escalated. The attacks have gotten worse. More children have been kidnapped. More civilian, and believe me, these are not government sites that Putin's attacking. These are civilians, apartment buildings, hospitals, hotels. They're leaking radiation into Ukraine. 8 months of Trump on his knees for Putin, and it must be awful, which I get. I've heard about the smell. So, yeah, it's not working.
And I think I remember he said he would release all of the Epstein files. Yeah, so what happens? Donald Trump now, he can't remember any of that. He can't talk about any of that. Accountability is what a democracy is about. And let's just be really clear with Donald Trump. We want to help the Ukrainians when they fight back against a Russian invasion. We want to put an end to the war in Gaza and feed those starving children. And Buster, we want to see all of the Epstein files. But there was one promise Donald Trump made every day, multiple times a day. He said to people all across this country, and this was the one people heard. Independents heard it, Democrats heard it, Republicans heard it, and that is that Donald Trump, on day one, his words, on day one would lower costs for American families. On day one. On day one. We're now on day 215. And what has happened to the cost of groceries? Up. What's happened to the cost of utilities? What's happened to the cost of housing? And the cost of school shoes and backpacks and baby strollers? Up, up, up. And what is Donald Trump doing about it? It's worse than nothing. On groceries. He gets out there and creates chaos on tariffs so that your grocery bill goes up. On utilities, he cancels clean energy projects that would help bring down your costs. Exactly.
I didn't even realize that clip. That's a great point to end the clip, because I just want to point out another thing insecure MAGA men don't know because they can't read or do math. When I used to waste my time debating, well, what goes on TikTok is not debate. Correcting idiots, fact-checking idiots is not speech and debate. So I just want to point out there is no debate going on TikTok. That's not what speech and debate is. There's just people correcting dumb people, which is a waste of time, because then those same dumb people show up in 10 more lives saying the exact same dumb things. And after I watch that they'll even pretend to have learned something, and then they will be in the next. Okay, God, why are people so dumb? Stock Cat, you literally said Biden paid down the debt and lied, please. I said the deficit, Cat, because you can't hear words. The debt is not the deficit. Stock Cat, and you will get blocked too. I don't have time for dumb people saying dumb things and distracting people. I said, in modern politics, since Clinton balanced the budget, and then Republicans shot the deficit up, and we drove the deficit back down. That is what I said. Oh my God, no cat. Yeah. And again, let me read you the Fortune article The Nation, this is from 3 days ago from Fortune. The nation's finances have deteriorated since Trump took office, gaming out scenarios up to a $28.5 trillion deficit. We are borrowing $5 trillion because of the deficit. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're just an idiot. You shouldn't carry water for people that don't care about you. You sound dumb and you continue embarrassing yourself. Anyways, wait, hold on. I lost my train of thought because an idiot was distracting me from something. I have to remember what she said right at the end because I needed to make a factual point.
He gets out there and creates chaos on tariffs so that your grocery bill goes up. On utilities, he can't.
Oh, yeah, I remember now. When I used to debate on TikTok, one of the things I would have to correct all the time was they would say, well, Trump says that Biden just stopped LNG exports. No, he stopped new contracts of LNG exports. We were always energy independent. We were always exporting more energy. We're the number one exporter of liquid natural gas under Biden in the world. The reason they paused new contracts was to help conservatives who can't read or do math. Right? Because what they were doing was what we call, and I always talk about, this is why it's important to learn about math. It's something called an impact study, which is statistical analysis. They realized if they continued putting out government contracts to export liquid natural gas to other countries, the effects of that, which by the way, and I've read this report, I've gone through it, I think around 4 weeks ago, I put it in the Discord. The effects of continuing to give out new LNG contracts and continue the up and to the right graph of LNG exports is what? Local energy prices, particularly in the South, in conservative areas, are going to skyrocket. And not a little, like 600 times, like energy bills will increase. And that's not even considering Trump has been bribed by oil and gas to pretend wind is bad. Like, that's going to rise energy bills, like in the Northeast and places like the Northern Jet Stream, where you benefit from wind energy, right? In Arizona, where I live, solar is super valuable. And those tax cuts for having solar panels have just gone away. Like, the way to keep the cost of energy down in the United States is to have a diverse plan, right? We do need to shift towards clean energy, but we need to have all types of energy available to drive costs down. And that's the truth. I invite anybody, Mr. Global talks about it all the time. When we continue, because who gets rich by liquid natural gas exports? This is not a socialist country. You're not benefiting. Right? We're the only developed country in the world without universal health care. You get nothing. Billionaires get richer. Corporations get richer, right? That's what capitalism is about. Privatized profit. You get nothing. You just pay more for your energy bill. The cost of every category, almost every category in the price index is up. That's the reality. Like the price index, which usually the price index looks more stable when you remove food and energy. And actually, yeah, it's the price index without food and energy from June is abysmal. It's actually higher. I think it's like at 3-something% costs raised in July. It's terrible. Like none of that is reality. I forgot. There's one more point I want to make, but I feel like it was important, but I don't remember it. So we're going to move on. Oh, I do remember one thing I didn't do. Ave, thank you so much for the $20 on Cash App. This is my Cash App and Venmo. Get it, Felice. Thanks for the receipts. I appreciate you. Oh, and one more.
More sophisticated now than computers.
Thank you, Heather. I love repeating numbers and repetition and alliteration. You yelling at mediocre white men is the best part of my day. Love it. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for the $8.88, Heather. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure no one's harassing anyone. I can't watch. No, stop, Kat. You're so wrong, and you're just distracting people from learning. You're not correct. You're not correct, and you have no idea what you're talking about. You're an idiot. Sorry. And I want to say this. Most of the mean things I say are directed towards white males because I don't think you should carry water for conservatives. They don't believe your brain works. In fact, they want to take your right to vote. They are literally disempowering women. They don't even believe you're smart enough to make decisions about your body. So I just want to say, I don't fight with women online. So if you continue spreading disinformation in my live, I'm just going to block you. That's you have not got one thing right. And if you said something right, I would tell you that's not right. It scares me that you don't even know where to find the information that you're spreading disinformation about. Yeah, definitely leave. Oh, thanks, Jer blocked him. I didn't do that. Sorry, Kat. But yeah, I don't want to fight with women online. I refuse to, because if you're a conservative woman, I mean, nobody respects you anyway, so I don't need to be mean to you. It's not my bag.
healthcare, because I think this is really important, and we don't defend enough what we're trying to do here. You know, we don't know whose baby.
Just want to respond to one thing I saw in the comments. Who said that? Stooky said 8954 said, "Is Matt okay?" Matt is okay, by the way. He is in the streets in DC right now. USMC angry that he actually just. It's very ironic you just asked that question because he just texted me. We're not going to do our regular live tomorrow. I might do another episode of the People's Receipts. I don't know. I have some things I usually use Tuesday to do like doctor's appointments and take care of my dad and things. So we'll see. But yeah, Matt is okay. He literally just texted me. He is in the streets in DC. And so as of now, he's okay. But that's all I know. And we won't do, yeah, that's another story. Sorry. I'm reading comments. That's a different story, but yeah, Matt is okay right now. Like 10 minutes ago, he just texted me and said he's okay and he'll update me. But yeah, he's in DC, involved in some protests and some interviews and things of that nature. So if I get more information, I'll let you know. But I know as of 10 minutes ago, Matt is okay.
Healthcare, because I think this is really important, and we don't defend enough what we're trying to do here. You know, we don't know whose baby is going to be born and run up $1 million in medical bills before they ever make it out of the hospital. Right? We don't know whose best friend is going to get hit by a bus and need a home health aide and a wheelchair to be able to live independently. We don't know whose grandma is going to outlive her savings. So we are Americans. We are people who say every one of us is going to pitch in some of our nickels, and we're going to make sure that if it's your sister's baby, if it's your best friend, if it's your grandma, we are all here for each other to make sure that they get the care they need.
Let me say, some people are like, that's socialism because I'm an idiot that doesn't know what I'm talking about. No, like that's what you do at your work. Understand that. Insurance that you think your work is paying for, I mean, most idiots know you're paying for it, right? It's just depending on how big the corporation you work at, you're creating a pool, paying into that pool every single month. And when someone at your corporation gets ill or their child gets ill or whatever, then that money you guys all pooled together, right, pays for that illness. Now, that's what we call collective bargaining. That's happening in capitalism. They're not paying for your damn insurance. You're paying for it in a pool of the people that work at your company, right? Now, in collective bargaining, the most power comes from the biggest pool of people. So we could all break off, and corporations aren't even giving out healthcare anymore. In the golden age of capitalism, corporations gave you pensions. They paid for you to retire. Not only do they not do that shit, they do not pay for healthcare anymore. Period. The way we can collective bargain and have the most power is to be however many people in the US now, what is it, 360 million or something? We collective bargain as a whole against insurance companies, against big pharma. That's how we lower the cost of healthcare. And it's whenever people say we can't afford that, yes, we can. If you don't know that, then you've never looked at the U.S. budget. You don't understand how much money we're taking in. If we can afford today to give Elon Musk $8 million a day in government contracts, he's the biggest welfare queen in this country. They're trying to take $65 a day that our grandparents are living on. Elon Musk is given $8 million a day in government welfare and government contracts. There's always more money to give to the military, not for our defense. Don't be dumb. Not for the veterans. The veterans don't have anything. The veterans are not well. That money is for what? Military contractors, which are tech companies and other giant corporations continuing to suck off the socialist teat. That's what this is. You want to talk about who's getting actual socialism? corporations and billionaires. That is socialism. I've never correctly, no, that's not true. I don't want to say that. There are some smart conservatives on this app who can identify what socialism is. But yeah, who receives socialism in this country are corporations and billionaires. That's where the socialism is going.
Donald Trump and every single Republican in Congress.
And I just want to point out, Heidi in the comments made a great point too. We wouldn't need welfare if companies paid us appropriately. Yeah, I once was showing a graph recently about how, corporations or like the National Restaurant Association, they lobby to be able to pay slave wages. Like if the minimum wage paced with profits, I think it would be somewhere around $26 or $27 an hour today. It's at whatever. What is it? 7? Is it 7? Is it at least at 7? I think, is it 7.25? Like, it's something abysmal. Like, it's absolutely horrible. And there's no insurance, there's no benefits, and that's corporations lobbying Congress so they don't have to give people a living wage and they don't have to give people benefits. 7.25. Okay, thank you. I was like, I almost said 7.50 and I was like, that's too much.
Including 5 Republicans right here in Nebraska, all voted to say we're going to slice into that program and take 10 million people, little babies, best friends, and grandmas, and tell them no more care for you. That is the Republican Party Donald Trump is building. And we are here today to say that we will get in this fight because those are the kind of people we are. We are the people who care for our families. We are the people who take care of our neighbors. We are the people who will fight for care for our babies, for our best friends, and for our grandmas. You will not take it away, not on our watch. Healthcare, because I think
42%. Remember, you're trying to force women to give birth, white men. Remember, your goal is to, hey, the reason, you remember white incels in this country, you were trying to force women to have sex with you and have your baby. 42% of babies in this country are born on Medicaid. That you've taken that away. Rural hospitals are going to close where you live. That's what she's talking about. And why? That's the big, beautiful bill takes health care from the baby to birth babies. 42% of babies, their births are paid for by Medicaid. You've taken that away. Medicare, the $65 a day our grandparents or our parents are getting to retire, you're trying to take that away. Why would you be taking that away? To give more tax breaks to billionaires and corporations. That's the facts. And I've said this before, and I think I'm trying to, I forgot the think tank. I was using, the Cato Institute, a far right think tank. Because when I talk to MAGA, I try to use sources that they believe are reputable so that, they'll listen more. The Cato Institute, right? Like, nobody's getting a tax cut. You have to understand that. Trump lied. He spent like hundreds of million dollars on commercials saying, if the big, beautiful bill isn't passed, you won't get your tax cuts. That's a lie. Biden's budget, Kamala Harris' budget continued the same tax cuts for the middle class as they should, which, by the way, Steve Bannon agreed with. I watch Steve Bannon's show a lot. I used to watch it every day. I played clips. Steve Bannon said the same. The tax cuts should continue for the middle and lower classes, not for the rich, not for corporations. Period. And I agree. There's a lot of things the far right in terms of fiscal, the real far right, not MAGA. You're not fiscally conservative whatsoever. But yeah, I do think the middle class and the poor needed to continue those tax cuts. Kamala Harris's real budget did that. But now we've all been robbed. And oh, sorry, I didn't finish my point. And I used to use the Cato Institute's math to show that when you're counting up, like whether you're getting a tax cut or not, understand tariffs are a tax, right? When Trump's like, he's lying when he says we're not bringing in trillions of tariffs. But if we were, that would be him stealing from the middle and lower classes and levying another tax. We pay state tax, we pay federal tax, and tariffs are a new tax. Tariffs are a regressive tax, right? That's why we used to have a progressive tax rate to recirculate money from the top of the economy, period. So tariffs are a regressive tax. So you can't just look at the big, beautiful bill and be like, oh, I got my tax cut. No, every time you buy something, you're being taxed. But you're not smart enough to realize that. And because we have less expendable income, there's no middle class anymore. We're all just poor, right? It's a regressive tax that is causing a transfer of wealth to the top of the economy. Oh, that's so funny. The real King Human said, so when the USA collapses, does MAGA blame Biden? I have a clip and I'm feeling good today. So I'm going to try to be live as long as possible and get to all, because I have such a good presentation today and get to all this shit. That's really funny you say that because, I think it's Jared Moskowitz was like on I can't remember which channel this morning, just screaming, are we still blaming Biden?